Hey guys, it's Mary.
Brandon here.
Yay! So without further ado, let's go.
Remember them? Remember Brandan and Mary? Yeah, how could you not? Their toxic relationship, the insane jealousy and terrible communication between them, is a relationship that none of us are likely to forget in a hurry. But, believe it or not, things have only got worse since we last saw them on the show.
Go home.
This is my home. I can't even leave.
Then I will leave.
From their very public meltdowns and fights to lies, scams, faking multiple illnesses, exploiting fans, endangered animals and even their own child. There's a whole lot to catch up on with these two. So, as I'm sure you recall, from literally the first episode, from the very first time we met these two, there were red flags everywhere. Brandan had spent over $60,000 on Mary. He'd built her and her family a house, sending them money constantly, all before he'd ever met her in person. This was a 2-year virtual relationship that gave that term virtual relationship a whole new meaning.
Well,
I spend every single hour, every single minute, every single second on video call with Mary every single day.
Now, Mary's jealousy was unlike anything we've ever seen before. She was jealous of dentists, airline passengers, and even Brandan's own mum and sister. Like, it was unhinged. She wanted him all to herself, completely isolated and interacting with no other females. But she was a hypocrite, a manipulator and a hypocrite. Like, while Brandan couldn't even be in a room alone with his own sister, she would sneak out of the house to go and meet up with her male friends.
Do you know that Mary unplugged her Wi-Fi, turned off her phone to go hang out many other time with us?
Everything about this relationship was toxic. This wasn't love. This was surveillance, obsession. But ultimately, they did end up getting married and they had a kid together, baby Midnight. Now, of course, the last we saw them on the show, they were having severe financial difficulties. Brandan wasn't able to work in the Philippines, and Mary tried to launch a grocery business, which failed. So how have they been supporting themselves since then? Well, they both still appear to be unemployed. Their income seems to come from their social media. Now, we're going to come back to their social media shortly, but it does raise the question. If neither of them are working, given that there was so much interest in them the first time they were on the show, why haven't they been on since? Well, if rumours are to be believed, they were sacked by the show for allegedly breaching their contract. You see, even before the show had aired on TV, their wedding photos had been leaked online. That did act as quite a big spoiler for the rest of their season. It's something that TLC clamped down on quite hard. And even while the show was airing, before we'd even learnt that Mary was pregnant, they'd both appear on social media videos with a crying baby in the background. Now, for what it's worth, Brandan and Mary both deny these claims. In fact, they've publicly stated that it's their choice, their decision not to reappear on the show. We could go back whenever we choose to, they've claimed. We are resting for now and we don't want the stress, is how they've framed it. But if that's really the case, why does it feel like they're bitter and they're trying to burn their bridges?
The church scene where we are attending mass and I'm not allowed to look at other girls is scripted, by the way, and that was not the original plan. So
yeah, I was shocked when the producer told me to say that. And I need to say that because if I don't need to say it, they won't be okay with it, you know. For example, we're gonna say something that, oh, we want this, and then they're gonna be like, no, wait, we need to do this and that. So, you know, they said it's reality, but it's not reality.
They give you this false sense of feeling that you can come up with ideas, and then they kind of just insert their own ideas and kind of dominate you. Yeah. So you have to just go with what they say.
Yeah, because you are in a contract. You know what I mean? So yeah. The show is scripted, and they tell us what to do and what to say, and we can't do anything about it because, you know, we get paid and they don't really pay a lot.
No, they make you work like a long time, and then they don't even pay that much.
Yeah, we woke up like 6 a.m. and then we stopped working 12 a.m.
Yeah, almost midnight.
Almost midnight, and that's too much. That's why enough.
Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Yeah, publicly saying that the show is scripted probably isn't the best way to ever be asked back again. That is, if the show ever wanted you back in the first place. Now, the scene that they're talking about in that video is this one here, the infamous scene where Mary was being her usual unhinged self and telling Brandan not to look at anyone but the priest.
Don't look at girls. Just look like at the priest. Okay?
Okay, Daddy.
Thank you.
And as you may remember, that moment in the church actually led to one of Mary and Brandan's biggest fights on the show. When Brandan attempted to stand up to her and her controlling ways, Mary lost it and ended up having a panic attack. Now look, I don't know how much of the show really is real and how much is scripted. It is certainly an accusation we've heard in the past before from other cast members as well. But, I mean, come on. Sorry, but no one can convince me her reaction here is fake. No one, and I mean no one, can convince me that she wasn't crazy jealous with massive manipulative tendencies. Either way, I think it's a safe bet that they're not likely to be on the show again. So with that being the case, without jobs, a business or income from the show, that means they're now both entirely reliant on their social media followings to make money. Now, while many cast members are able to leverage their time on the show to become influencers and sell things to their fans, support themselves financially from that, in Brandan and Mary's case, with social media gems like these, I don't think they get too many brands knocking on their door and asking to work with them. So, that being the case, how do they make money? Well, sadly, what they've resorted to is the lowest of low. It isn't good at all. So, in February 2024, Mary announced to her social media followers that she had colon cancer. Brandan immediately set up a crowdfunding campaign desperately seeking to raise $250,000 to, quote, save her life. Now, of course, a cancer diagnosis is always shocking, right? But particularly shocking for someone as young as Mary. Followers, fans, viewers of the show, everyone felt deeply for her. Yes, she had her faults, but no one deserves that, right? Many people started contributing, sending money to their GoFundMe campaign, genuinely concerned for her. But as the news of this terrible diagnosis began to spread, Brandan and Mary started to backtrack. We may have said and led everyone to believe that Mary had colon cancer, they said, but actually the truth is we don't know yet if she has cancer. Mary just looked up the symptoms and diagnosed herself thanks to a TikTok video. I mean, it's f***ing insane. Now, they went on to say that a nurse said it might be cancer. That's why we posted what we did and asked for funds. But the same nurse also told us that it could also be a bunch of other, far less serious illnesses too. So, even after admitting that, in truth, they don't actually know what's going on with Mary, it was in their financial best interests to allow fans to think that Mary was gravely ill. But then came the results of her test. Surprise, surprise, it turned out that Mary was nowhere near as sick as she led us all to believe. Yeah, she didn't have cancer, far from it. What she actually had were hemorrhoids, a UTI and some liver inflammation. Far, far less serious. I mean, much more common and much easier to treat, of course. So, that being the case, given that there was no cancer, you'd think that they'd return all of the donations that they got from their fake GoFundMe, right? Well, no, that's not what they did. In fact, they kept every penny. Honestly, it's disgusting. There's nothing more deplorable than faking cancer. And to absolutely ruin your own reputation for the sake of $1,300, which is all that they actually managed to raise from their campaign, is tragic. It's a sign of how low they're willing to stoop. Now, thankfully, GoFundMe did shut down their page, but the damage was already done. Fans were pissed, and rightfully so. Even Brandan's own mum issued a statement against them both. Accountability feels like an attack when you're not ready to acknowledge how your behaviour harms others, she wrote on her IG. Now, shockingly, they still haven't learnt their lesson. They've also been embroiled in yet another fake crowdfunding campaign more recently. Now, I'll come to that shortly. But just as you thought they couldn't sink any lower, just when the right thing to do would be to apologise and maybe take yourself out of the limelight for a little while, instead, these two turned to exploiting a monkey. Yeah, you heard that right, a monkey. You see, from their social media again, from the photos and videos that they'd been posting, it could be seen that they were keeping a monkey chained to a tree. In fact, not just any old monkey. This was believed to be a long-tailed macaque, a species that's listed as an endangered animal since 2023. Now, for as bad as that was, it didn't help matters that the monkey seemed malnourished and distressed. But when asked about this, Mary and Brandan claimed that it's just a pet. They said they had to chain it up because if they let it loose, if they allowed her off her leash, their neighbours would hunt the poor monkey down and kill it. But, and get this, after the backlash started to roll in, including from fellow cast members like Statler, none of those fears, none of the worries that the monkey might get killed by their neighbours seemed to matter anymore. They decided to release the monkey and try and make a quick buck while doing so.
Hey guys, it's Mary.
Brandan here.
For today's video, we're gonna
Free the monkey.
Yay! So without further ado, let's go.
So while they did release the monkey, they also posted a PayPal donation link asking for donations. Because, yeah, of course they did. Like, the fact is, this monkey, having been kept in captivity for God knows how long, we can clearly see from the video, didn't stray too far. Even without the leash, it didn't run off, right? So rather than finding someone who could properly care for the endangered species, giving it to a wildlife shelter, for example, these two just let it go and hoped to make some money off the back of it. But, and going back to what we were talking about before, their crowdfunding campaigns didn't stop there. In February of this year, they started another fundraising campaign, this time claiming that Mary's grandmother, remember Mary was raised by her grandparents, we saw them on the show, they claimed that her grandmother urgently needed funds for treatment for tuberculosis and pneumonia. But, unsurprisingly, fans were quick to question this. And it's a good thing that they did. You see, after a little bit of research, not even all that much, fans discovered that treatment in the Philippines for tuberculosis and pneumonia happens in government hospitals where all of the costs are completely covered. This, sadly, was likely just another scam, another attempt to try and make a quick buck. It's wild that they keep on repeating this, like it's wild that they think they can get away with this. But remember, both of them are unemployed. Rather than going and getting a legitimate job, this is what they've stooped to. And on that note, nothing seems to be beyond their limits. They're willing to stoop to whole new lows, including trying to use their own child to make money. You see, Brandan and Mary constantly feature Baby Midnight in their videos on social media in a bid to try and increase their engagement. They've even created separate social media accounts, solely, according to Screen Rant, dedicated to generating content featuring their daughter. Quote, "It appears that the couple is desperate for attention in the hopes of becoming influencers and making money through social media." But if that is indeed their aim, the way that they're going about this, the videos that they're uploading featuring their daughter, certainly raises a few eyebrows.
Ow.
Do it again, do it again.
Mayong. Baba. Ow. Baba, minay. Abaw. Wait, she's gonna get mad in a second.
Honestly, I have no idea what he's hoping to achieve in doing that. It's just cruel. In fact, as one comment states, This is stupidity, almost child abuse. Stop this stupid behaviour. And on that topic of stupid behaviour, their relationship is still clearly as toxic as ever.
I told the guy I don't want it anymore. I canceled it. I'm gonna fucking sell the PS5. I won't play Wild Rift. No more fucking games.
You always told me no more games.
This is fucking it.
You don't need to.
I fucking mean it.
Go home!
This is my fucking home. I can't even leave.
Then I will leave. I will leave.
Yeah, fighting on live videos. I mean, that's next level attention seeking, isn't it? Was there any need to turn the camera on and broadcast that? Like, are they even trying to cash in on their arguments as well? Whatever the case, like, it's clear that their own relationship is no better than it was when we saw them on the show. So that being the case, imagine everyone's shock when Mary posted photos of her pregnant again. Blessings read their caption, with Brandan hugging the baby bump and making heart shapes around it. But, as it turns out, this was yet another ploy to try and get some attention. Mary wasn't in fact pregnant, she was just reposting old pictures from her first pregnancy. Make it make sense. So where do they go from here? Well, according to their most recent posts, it looks like they're planning to relocate to America. Maybe that is for the best. Maybe if Brandan can get back into paid employment, and let's not forget, he was able to single-handedly earn enough money to build their house for them. Perhaps that might give these guys a fresh new start. But I'll tell you something for nothing. If they dare to post another fundraising campaign seeking to raise funds for their big move, I don't think they're gonna get too many donations.